I'm all in.
Called.
You got aces? 55. Ace 8?
You first, because he called.
Wow. Guy went bonkers. He went bonkers. He just rips it in. This is what happens with the vlog. I thought I was going to be stuck a lot. Now I'm only stuck a little. Everyday winning.
See you later, Matt.
Good game, man. Good game. Did you guys see that? That was wild, right? Like, what happened?
What did he have?
So I just arrived at Resorts World yesterday. We are staying here through the weekend. And I'm going to be vlogging some poker episodes from here. And last night was my first one. So my first Resorts World session, third session overall. And I'm going to get into those hands now. This session was a roller coaster, big time roller coaster session. I started out up $200. I'll showcase the big hand I won. And then I started spiraling downward. I, was even considering taking a win, building off of the challenge and things like that. But I thought this table's profitable, but with profitability comes variance. And that's where we ran into some spots. And I overplayed some hands. And bluffing people at 1-3, even if the game's playing bigger, can be dangerous. So here we go. Let's get into Resorts World session number 1, session 3 overall. Here we go. Session number 1, Resorts World. Guys, I'm feeling it. This place is awesome, by the way. I absolutely love Resorts World. Look at how gorgeous this is. Beautiful, beautiful. Session number 1. We'll see what kind of games they have. Over at Planet Hollywood, we're limited to playing 1-3. So we'll see what options they have here at Resorts World. If you haven't been here before, by the way, guys, this place is money. Poker rooms way in the back, but it's time to be everyday winning. So as you can see, I've walked into the poker room. You get a sense of the table. I just do a quick shot. You get to see here across the table in the 9 seat is Miles, and you'll hear a lot about him in this session. Hand number 1. In my first session at Resorts World, I was playing in a wild game. I sat down and this guy, Miles, his name also, was gambling like crazy, but he was gambling really well. He was playing aggressively. He was hitting a lot of boards. The table was definitely trying to take him on because he was winning so much. And first hand I played was pretty simple. I flatted his raise in position. I had a suited connector, 5-3 of clubs. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna come in and mix it up with this guy, mix it up with the table. I like to have, like to set an image early. Sometimes it's tight for a while and then I make moves. Other times in a game like this, I want to show people that I'm going to splash around and play to the table. It just depends. I like to switch it up. The flop comes King 4-3. And we love these boards because if nobody's showing interest, whether you're the pre-flop raiser or not, it's hard to continue on a king high board without a king. Especially when you're the pre-flop raiser and you check. So he checks. We're 3-way here. I have position. Another reason I'm calling pre. And I fire pretty large, actually. I could have bet smaller and set up multiple streets here, but I decided to go for a big bet. And we have one pair, but we're betting that they don't have a king. And I fire, it goes fold, and a friend Miles calls. And the turn is a 9 of diamonds. doesn't change much. And it goes check. I decide to shut it down. I don't feel good about his check call. I have no idea what he's doing. River's a blank. Let's just say it's irrelevant at this point. And he fires pretty big. He fires 85 into around 150. Obviously, we can't call. And he shows 4-3 suited. So we're flatting with the 5-3 suited, and he's raising with the 4-3 suited. So this is a good setup for how this session is going to go. We're gonna mix it up. We're gonna play, and now we get a sense that he's gonna raise some of these hands, and when he smashes the board, he's gonna turn it into some trap hands as well. So a lot of information on this particular hand. So hand one, we are minus 65 off of our $400 buy-in.
So I finally have a hand to vlog about in my session from Resorts World. I'm there right now, the poker ring. My table is right inside of here. Try to be really respectful of the camera policies. I'll see if I can get Miles. It was Miles versus Miles on a big hand. I had pocket jacks, and I 3-bet to 42. There was a random raise to like 12. Very strange. The game's playing really big. It makes a 12 call. I 3-bet to 42, and the original raiser folds, and then Miles comes in and calls, and there's another call. So we are in position now with jacks on the button. Flop comes 8-6 deuce rainbow. He check to me. I see bet 110, which is pretty big. But I'm expecting that I'm only going to get action from 8s and sets. And he jams. Other guy folds and he jams. And I actually kind of nit roll and I feel bad about it. But yeah, run out is 6x, 6-3. And he just had some kind of 8. So yeah, it was a nice big pot. First big pot of this session. And hopefully I have a couple more.
Here we are with hand number 3. Before I get into this hand, I want to clarify something from the last hand. There were a couple of combinations that I didn't mention, besides bluffs, like I said, which were pretty unlikely. We also have the combination of 9-7 for open-ender on the 8-6 board, and 7-5 for open-ender. 8-6 deuce, we can have 7-5, and we can have 9-7. Just want to throw that out there, that there's other combinations of non-made hands, non-8s, and sets in 2 pairs. So, on to the next hand. Here we go. This hand is versus a player who has just sat down. I want to say her name, and I wanted to do an interview with her, but I'm going to respect her anonymity. I'm just going to say she's from Texas. And I'm also going to say that when she sat down, I said, "Oh, you're a shark." And she said, "Oh, I've been drinking and smoking all day. I'm not that big of a shark." And I was like, I can't figure out if she's actually a fish who's coming in to gamble, or if she's actually very good and she's pretending to be drunk and high and all this other stuff. Anyway, it all plays into this next hand. I have ace-10 on the button. One thing I like to do when these games play really big, I like to force the action and play really big pots, especially with the types of hands where, hands where we can put other people in a difficult spot where their stack has to put it in with second best hands. Like we can smash the board with a great top pair, an over pair, and people feel committed to call because the pot gets so big. This is a trick I like to do at 1-2 and 1-3, and even in some 2-5 games. But I like to build big pots against players that I think will make mistakes post flop. So I squeeze really big. It might have been 1-3-6, but it also might have been just 1-3. But I make it 45 on the button. Also, people get really annoyed with this too because you're forcing them to play really big pots. And they don't like to limp fold. I noticed this a couple other times when I did this. People will limp and then call in and they get stubborn, and it's really great. You can do it as bluffs. You can do it with big hands, and then eventually people start calling and you change the game to a bigger game. But in this case, I have ace-10 off. I raised to 45. My new friend from Texas, she calls from the small blind, and I sense that she's pretty, she seems pretty strong. Let's just put it that way. Big blind, Randy, oh, good old Randy. He was a fun player. His friends were railing him. They were on the rail watching him and supporting him. They were new to Las Vegas, and this guy was in town visiting. Stacked his chips up very particularly, and out of respect for the game, I'll just say that Randy was a fun player. Let's just leave it at that. We loved playing with him. So he calls as well. And now we go to the flop, three ways in an incredibly bloated pot with ace-10 offsuit. Not the hand we really want to have here, but we have position, and we'll see what happens after the flop. So we have a really bloated pot here, and I'm going to continue with caution with ace-10. Flop ace-jack 3. Now, a lot of beginning players will look at this board and go, oh man, we got an ace. This is what we're looking for. Let's go bonkers and get it in. But when people are calling that big of raise, that's one of the problems when you do what I'm doing and you push the action and play these big pots, is that they can have really strong hands that they don't 3-bet. So I bet small. I bet around a third of the pot. The board's dry. There's no flush draws present. I want to try to pot control if possible. It goes surprisingly call and call. This hand might have gone differently if it was just one call. But now we're three-way to the turn. The turn is a deuce. Still no flush draws. A rainbow board. And all of a sudden, our female friend from Texas goes all in for $105. I do not like putting $105 in if I'm beat. Especially, I just don't like doing that. But the math is just screaming for a call. There's, around $250 in the middle. So we're winning $250 plus her $105. We have to be absolutely sure she has us beat if we fold here. Our good friend Randy in the big blind folded. Tanked for a long time. I ran through the hands out loud like I'd done with the previous hand. And I finally hammed it hot and called. I was like, you could have jack, ace, queen, whatever. I call. She very confidently flips over pocket jacks for a set of jacks. And our nice profit that we built with the jacks hand from earlier is now down the tubes. We've lost $191 with this hand, and we're back to the grind. Hand 4 is pretty simple, but it's probably an indication of what happens after you've lost a big hand. You start kind of mixing it up with hands that maybe you shouldn't. This is definitely a hand should have been a fold. But I do like to splash a lot in 1-3 games or in non-pro driven 2-5 games, because I do like I like my reads post flop. I like to pull the trigger, not afraid to bluff, and sometimes these speculative hands just smash. In this case, my 8-4 of hearts did not smash. The flop came 9-7 deuce with 2 diamonds. We hit nothing. We're in a 4-way pot, but with position, another reason we can play some of these, mediocre hands. We fire and they all fold, and we look like geniuses when we win $45. So next hand is plus $45 with the 8-4 of hearts. Okay, now we get to the part of the session where things go really sideways. This is how we go from a little bit stuck to majorly stuck. And now in looking back on it, I really only have one person to blame, and that's me. As I said, I do like to play a little bit wider, and I, as you can tell, play a relatively high variance style in cash. I know all you friends out there that call me a nit, you're going to be like, oh, wow, Miles actually plays some crazy hands. Yes, I do. I like to play, I like to mix it up, especially in cash games where you know, you can win huge pots and you can force people to rebuy. And when it doesn't work, I can, I can also rebuy. So this hand is like, it started out pretty basic. I have Jack 5 offsuit in the big blind. It's a multi-way limped pot. It's a nothing hand until I flop a Jack. And the board comes with Jack 8-3. And I lead out pretty small into all the limps, like half pot. Mostly because I'm just planning to fold to any kind of significant action. I don't like these weak top pair hands and multi-way pots. They're just, I don't know, they're just way ahead or way behind. In this case, I probably was actually way ahead. I'll find this out by the river. But Jack 8-3, 2 spades, should note. Turn is a 6. Pot's now about $50. That's a hand worth winning. But we're against 2 players, our female friend from Fort Worth and Randy. I lead out again, and I bet 25. And surprisingly, they both call again. I have no idea what Randy has. We find out what she has at the end. The river is a random ace. Now, I was a little distracted on this hand. I am not going to blame it on that, but I think it might have played into this because my Uncle Gary had come up behind me and he had tapped me on the shoulder and the hand, and I didn't even look because I was just like, oh, I'm in a hand. And then I just kind of like half-assed checked the river. And she bets really small, like, I don't know, $25. Now remember, the pot got really big here. It's like $100 in. And I'm like, she can't be that strong here. She's capped certainly at like a weak ace. And now I've deduced after the Jack-Jack hand that she actually might be, decent, good. So I whack it up to 140. Boom, no way she can call with just an ace. She did that thing where she's like, how much more? And she's just counting the chips out. I was like, oh my God, Miles, why did you do this? She pushes the chips forward and I don't even show my hand. I just go Jack and I know I'm beat. And she shows ace 7 of spades. She calls it off with just top pair. And got a pretty big loss, minus 175 with the Jack 5 offsuit from the big blind. Don't make these crazy bluffs in a 1-3 game, guys. It's just silly. Now remember, I did say that I only had myself to blame for this part of the session where I was spiraling downward. Although these plays are not just idiotic plays. They're plays that are designed for players that are capable of folding. As the session goes on, you'll see that some of these plays started to work against the right players. I was picking the wrong players to make plays against. These are not just plays that don't have thought behind them. This next hand was actually quite interesting because it was against our buddy Roy. And after these hands, I'm going to show you guys an interview with Roy. I liked playing with this guy. He loved to play a lot of hands, and he played them very tough. He tanked a lot, but he played tough. Here's the hand. Pocket fours. We have in the cutoff. He's in middle position. He opens for 25. This was actually, even though my raises were a little bit bigger, this was a big raise by the table standards. And I just am excited to play this hand against him, not just for, set value, but actually for trying to play a challenging hand. I don't know. Poker players are a little masochistic. We like the pain of when we're wrong. But in this case, I was spot on from the beginning. I call. Flop comes. 10 deuce deuce. Roy continuation bets. Pretty small here. 24. Dry board. I like our hand here. I'm going to continue and see what happens. But I just like fours on this board. It seemed like he was unpaired pre. We call. Now the pot is around $100, and the turn is a 6. To me, a complete brick. I don't see him betting any 6s on that flop. These are not the kinds of combinations I'm putting him on. And he bets 50. Now, we have only, for whatever reason, only 160 total. And in retrospect, maybe I should push here, but I think the way I played the hand was correct. I flat the turn, and I'm actually planning to call the river unless I get some kind of a read, or unless kind of an ace, king, queen comes on the river. I had decided those were the cards, that the king, queens, the ace, queens, the ace, kings. These are the hands I'm folding to. But I called the 50 with the intention of most likely calling the rest on the river. River was a jack. He thought for a little while and then went all in, which was my 110. Now remember, there's $200 in the pot. So I'm calling 110 to win like 310. So I hem and haw for a while and I call. And he has king jack. So he hit the jack on the river. He had 6 outs on the turn. While I don't love my call on the river because I was wrong, I played this hand really well, got unlucky on the river, and followed through. And if you're going to follow through on that turn call with the intention of calling the river on certain cards, you have to follow through on it, unless you get some kind of a live read, which there was something there. But anyway, I thought this was an interesting hand, and one that, I'm going to continue to play hands like this because it's what makes poker fun. But again, it was a, $200 loss. So we're still heading downwards in the session. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. This is the hand versus Roy. That super interesting hand that will have a lot of you going, what are both of you doing on this hand? But I like this hand a lot. As I said earlier in this vlog, I like to mix it up in cash. And this time I mixed it up with the king 3 of clubs. If you're just learning poker and you're trying to play solid hands and position and all these other things, don't play these kinds of hands. You really do need to have some strong post-flop reading skills and the willingness to pull the trigger on some big pots. So just want to put that caveat out there. But again, I make a big squeeze pre-flop. Straddled pot, 1, 3, 6, 6, 6. There's, when I win, I pick up like $20. That's the other thing. I didn't mention that earlier. When you squeeze and you win, you're winning $20, $30, $40 at a time when they all fold. And when you wake up with the big hand, they get frustrated and then they might stack off. But you mix in these kinds of hands because when you show up to the river with king 3 of clubs, now they're going to start standing up to you, which is actually good. So we have the king 3 of clubs. Our favorite opponent, Roy, calls. And the flop comes 10-7-4 with 1 club. He makes a really weird bet here. He bets $25 into, let's call it 80. And I'm like, this is just such a weak lead. And I think I can represent a lot of things here. So I make a big raise to 150. Very polarized spot, very polarized raise. I really think I'm going to get everything but his 10s to fold. And some 10s, like 10-9 or Jack 10 or maybe even Queen 10 might hate it here. And he calls. Hate that. We hate that so much. We hate the turn as well. The turn is a jack. And anytime there's a jack and a 10 on the board, there's just so many combinations of hands your opponent can have. I remember watching a video with Todd Brunson from years ago. It was actually an article in Card Player. And he talked about how the jack 10 on a board connects with so many combinations of hands. So not liking this spot. He checks, I check. The river is a queen. 10-7-4, jack, queen. Now, I had decided if he checks the river, as strange as it seems, I'm just going to shove. But then he tanks for a long time and does the strangest thing. He bets $35. And guys, this is perplexing. Now I'm like, what in the world does he have? Does he have two pair? Does he have a random straight? I have no clue. I tank and tank and tank and tank and tank. And ultimately, I fold because I have king high. And he shows 8-7 for a pair of sevens. This wasn't even like a bluff situation. It was like, I have no idea where I'm at. Anyway, this hand was crazy and fun. But I also lost a big pot, and now we're stuck like crazy. So I thought this hand was entertaining, and Roy did as well. And now we'll show an interview between me and Roy after the session was over. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with Roy from LA. Roy, this guy, he's tough, man. All those chips, some of those used to be mine. Okay, I'm gonna tell you about a hand really quick that this guy played. Amazing hand. He's got 8-7.
Yes, it's never shooting.
Suited. Okay. I squeezed pre-flop. Really big raise. Well, 35? Yeah, 35. 1-3. Roy and I, we were gambling. We were playing big pots. He calls. Flop comes 10, 7, deuce. 10-7 deuce. I raise him to $110. He leads out for 25. Roy's not scared.
Yeah.
He calls.
Yeah, I call it just very 7.
He just has the 7. Middle pair. The board runs out. Jack, turn. Queen, river.
Yes.
He leads with 14th pair for $35. If he would have checked, I would have gone all in. I was going to go all in on the river.
35 or 50?
Yes, 35 only.
35?
Yeah,
Really?
only. And we have about 250 behind.
Why are you the fold?
Because I had king high.
Oh my god.
I was making a play on the flop. I had king high. I pulled for $35.
Yeah, you 120 bluff me.
Yes, total bluff. If I shove the river, he folds, but I can't. I'm so scared because what does he have there? He's betting so small. Good session, man. Good session.
you.
I'll tell you about one more hand we played together, but that was an interesting hand.
Okay, thank you.
Well played. Good game, bro. Roy, thank you, man. Roy was a really fun competitor to play against. That was a crazy hand. I'll tell you about one more hand we played together, but yeah, Roy from LA. Every day was. Do you ever take a walk in your sessions? Do you ever just like get away from the table and walk because you're just so frustrated? Well, that's what I did here. I had been set up with a party up on the rooftop of Resorts World where I'm staying, and they had a band playing up there. Spandex Nation, shout out to you guys. Got to know those guys last night. But anyway, I'm like, I'm going to go up there, get set up, get checked in, things like that. And I got away from the table. I was like getting my mind right because I was stuck. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get the money back in this game. But I'm also in the midst of this challenge where I'm trying to free roll my way into a tournament, a 1K tournament in South Dakota. And I'm stuck like $600-700 on this session. So anyway, I take a walk. I rarely take walks because I'm so competitive and I just want to get into the next hand. But this walk ended up being profitable for me. And what I decided to do was, if I have one of these spots, I'm just going to pull the trigger. Because if I'd have trusted my instinct on this last hand against Roy and just ripped it in on the river, he would have folded. I would have won a key pot. Anyway, I sit down and I get pocket queens. Roy raises, as per usual. Another call, my neighbor, and I make it 60. And in general, this pot is not that interesting, except for it just kind of showed that I was going to take a different approach versus Roy. So the flop comes Jack 8-8 with 2 clubs, and he leads out for really small. Now, if my opponent had folded here, or had called, I would have played this hand differently. But I decided to keep all of Roy's bluffs in by just calling here. We have a really good board. There's some bad turn cards, but in general, I like this spot right here. And the turn is a 10. He checks, and then I just rip. I've got like a couple hundred behind. It's just totally appropriate for this spot. There's around 200 in the middle. He doesn't take very long before folding. And my thought here is that I'm kind of showing him that I'm not going to play passive poker anymore. And I actually said that. I said, I'm not messing around anymore with you, Roy. And I didn't show him the hand, which was good, but I just kind of let him know that I'm going to stand up to him. And just something about the aggressiveness and the table banter and the play was good. Kind of got a little bit of confidence back. I want to introduce you to another character in this, and this is, we're going to call him King High Guy. This guy is I think at one point he was a pro in LA, clearly a competent player, knows how to play, and we ran like 3 bluffs in a row against him. Remember when I was trying to bluff Roy earlier? Not smart, guys. We don't bluff the gambler in the calling station. We bluff King High Guy. I won't mention his name on here just to protect his anonymity. He didn't want to be videoed on the vlog, but I'll just call him King High Guy. Played a lot at the Hustler back in the day. He won the most tournaments over the course of 30 days, according to him. So anyway, the first hand we play against King High Guy, I happen to have 9 high. The flop comes King High versus King High Guy, and we flop a gut shot. King 6-5, 2 hearts. We have 9-7 with 1 heart. Turn, boom, pair of 6s. I check the turn. He bets. I check raise big. He folds King Jack face up. We show him the 9-7 for 9 high, and that's our first of 3 big bluffs against this guy. And this was the key to kind of coming back in this session. I've got a little bit more insight to give on these hands against my neighbor. It's not that easy to just bluff somebody like this. It's not so easy to just be able to, throw bets out there and expect to win. There's got to be purpose behind it. So when I'm raising the turn here, I'm being very calculated because of the fact that on the flop with the flush draw present, he's likely to bet. He should protect all of his top pairs here. So when he doesn't bet the flop and all of a sudden bets the turn, his hand is very polarized as likely being some kind of a semi-bluff or a bluff. So when I raise on the turn and I make it the right price, he's supposed to fold a lot of his hands. So that was my thought process behind raising on this hand. And, I show it because we'd reached the point of the game where I was. There was a lot of gamesmanship. There was a lot of talking, a lot of fun. And again, it set up another hand. And I like to do that, especially when people start getting a little bit too tight. You set them up for either them making a loose call or them making a bluff themselves. So, talk about bluffing the same guy. Even in game, I thought, maybe I'm bluffing a little bit too much. Let me just tell you something. If they keep folding, bluff more. Even if they're good players and they start to get onto you, they start getting in their own head and they're like, oh man, eventually they're going to have it, which eventually King High Guy did say that. Oh, he's got to have it this time. He's got to have it this time. Well, the toughest players for us to play against are the ones that just continue to apply pressure. So if they keep folding to you, keep bluffing, keep barreling. Every pot you take down with the worst hand is how you profit in poker. So don't stop betting just because you've bluffed a lot. If they keep folding, bluff more. So the second to last key hand for this session in terms of value was against Nikhil, my neighbor on my right. San Jose State guy, very nice guy, very friendly. We have the King 3 of spades, okay? We turn the second nut flush, and on the turn I check, kind of look away, do a little acting like, oh, we don't have anything here, and we're in a 4-way pot. I'll run the board by you. And the river comes, boom! He bets 110, and we snap. Actually, I min raise to 220. I thought about calling just to get King High Guy in there, but instead I decided to try to get my neighbor in there. He's like, oh man, I had the blocker and he had the ace of spades. So anyway, that was the second to last key hand before the hand you saw at the beginning of this. So I want to talk a little bit about why I look away in these spots. I hate that I give away information against good players, but I think most of my like top level pro players that I play against on high level buy-in tournaments, they're not watching these vlogs anyway. But so this is more for those of you that want to try this on your own. Hollywooding there's a fine line, okay? So when you're looking away and you have a hand, you can't just be like, oh, I'm acting like I don't have a hand. It has to be casual. It has to be cool. It has to be, I'm looking at something. I've used a lot of my actual acting techniques to pull some of these things off. Like, what am I looking at? Am I looking at a piece of paper? Am I glancing towards the game that's behind me? You have to pick something that you're doing that's not just acting disinterested. Otherwise, people might tune into that. So that's what I'm doing against my neighbor here. I have the second nut flush, and I'm trapping him, and totally falls for it on the river. And we have to be willing to let some of these cards come off. He has the ace of spades. He could hit another spade, but like these are key hands. And some of the biggest hands we can win in sessions is when we can set people up for bluffs when we have monsters like the second nut flush. All right, so I'm finishing my session at Resorts World. I've been playing for over 7 hours. I was in for 400, then another 400, and then 26. $55. I just asked this guy if he was willing to be on my vlog, and then he makes it seem min raises, and now all of a sudden,
now he's the star.
Now he's the star of the vlog. When you lose. I'm posting it either way. He min raises. All right, if you got aces, bro, you got it. I'm all in. You got aces? Let's see it. Let's sweat it together. Let's see. Aces? Let's see it. Let's see it.
Let's do the flop first.
Okay. We're already all in. Ace. Ace 8?
You first, because
Wow. Okay. Everyday winning. Guys, I was just trying to get a synopsis of the session, and then this guy went bonkers. He went bonkers. He just rips it in. This is what happens with the vlog. I thought I was going to be stuck a lot. Now I'm only stuck a little. Everyday winning.
See you later, Matt.
Good game, man. Good game. Did you guys see that? That was wild, right? Like, what happened?
What did he have?
Ace 8. Ace 8.
so you're a big blind.
Okay, so anyway, I had pocket queens. I was trying to cash out. I was trying to just show my stack because I'm in for $940.
Do you want to take big blind?
No, thank you.
Okay, then big blind here.
We'll see what the results are. Anyway, that was funny. All right, guys, session number 3, Resorts World. We're in for 940, out for 840, booking a $100 loss. But after being in 4 and another 4, then adding 140, sometimes it's okay to take a $100 loss. Totally good result for today, and we'll be back tomorrow. See what tomorrow brings. Everyday winning. All right, guys, we're just finishing session number 3, the first one at Resorts World. Booked a $100 loss. It's kind of fun. Little nightclub over here. We're trying to help build the nightlife atmosphere here. It's really nice. Cool energy over there. That's the Gatsby's Cocktail Lounge. We are going to a rooftop party There's some kind of an 80s kind of hair band, cover band. It's gonna be super fun. We're gonna go up there and hang out for a while. 9-hour session again. Another 9-hour session. But even though we didn't get into the black, booking a $100 loss after being stuck, I don't know, 600, that's a heck of a session. You can't be upset about that. And not only that, it's kind of fun. What's up? Not only that, I played some really interesting hands today that I'm excited to share with you guys. Oh, look at this. One more little thing before we go to the rooftop. The Stardust, guys. That's some epic old Vegas. Love it. Private party on the roof, let's go! Every day winning. Guys, if you don't take time to get away from the poker table to appreciate some of this stuff about Vegas and the Strip, what are you even doing, right? Anyway, gonna hang out for a while, listen to some cool music, and get ready for tomorrow. Day number 4. Everyday winning at Resorts World. If I were to do a kind of a breakdown synopsis of this session, I would say this. When you're playing against players that love to gamble and love to mix it up, you've got to find a way to mix in gambling with them and playing pots and staying out of their way and slicing and dicing your way through this kind of a session. Looking back on this session, I wish I hadn't picked so many complex spots against Roy. It's a lot easier to find the value spots. Trust me, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy the meta game. I enjoy mixing it up. But once I kind of dialed back my interest in trying to felt this guy and just really got more calculated and specific about how I was going to beat him, that's when the discipline paid off, and I won 3 key hands. And I think showing some bluffs too against the good players got me paid towards the end. But at the end of the day, you got to pick your spots, and ultimately you can't always wait for great hands, but you have to also be willing to pull the trigger. Because if I'd pulled the trigger on 2 of these hands, the whole session would have gone differently. If I'd trusted my read, trusted my gut. But at the end of the day, I was really glad that I got kind of bailed out with the pocket queens as I was racking up. I mean, that was crazy. I'm trying to leave, and I look down in the hands there, and it's pretty awesome. But anyway, thanks for tuning in to this session. It was a lot of fun. Going to be leaving Las Vegas tomorrow, leaving Resorts World. Had a really great time here. We're everyday winning.